Urfe rigs. I'm sure you've all heard me mention them in my videos by now, and thought, what on earth is he on about? Oh. Okay, terrible puns aside. It really is a super simple rig, and it can be a deadly rig for catching fish as well. The Urfe Rig, U-R-F-E, sometimes called the Portuguese rig. I presume that's possibly where it came from originally. Sometimes just simply called a 3 below or 3 down rig. It can be a fantastic rig. The beauty of the Urfe Rig is it's only anchored at one end. So you have the weight and then the snoods trailing below that. So rather than with a paternoster, which is anchored at both ends, this is anchored at one end. So all those hooks, how many hooks here, below the lead have complete free natural movement. So it's great at sort of searching out fish in areas and enticing wary or spooky fish into bites. It's also so easy to tie, but like anything, anything's easy when you know how. So let's try and address that today. Components wise, it's brilliant because they're so cheap, because there's so few components. I'm going to use, obviously, some Urfes. I'm using the Tronics Pro ones here. You get 4 in a pack for a couple of quid, so they're really good value for money. Line wise, for this particular demonstration, I'm going to use the 0.40 blackout. That's a line I use quite a lot for just sort of general fishing. So if I'm fishing for sole or plaice or sort of small bass, things like that, when the conditions are sort of average, I suppose. It's not too flat, calm, gin clear or bright, where I might go down thinner. And equally, it's not rough. Not really a rig to be using when it's really rough anyway, to be fair, because it tangles up. But yeah, 0.40 blackout for this demonstration. The one component that a lot of you may not have used before is the two-way beads. So I'm using the Stontfo two-way beads. This is the 3.3mm size, okay? So if you're going to copy this video exactly using the 0.4mm line, I'd recommend buying the 3.3 size beads. Don't know if you can see that or not. I'll put a link to all the products in the description, and you can have a look on the website. And hook-wise, I've just chosen the Gamakatsu LS5013s in a size 4. You can use, obviously, whatever hook you fancy or whatever hook you need for your fishing. And that is it. That is the entirety of the components you need. Now, the dimensions I've chosen here are good, average sort of dimensions, okay? There'll be lots of comments, I'm sure, on this one about, oh, you haven't done it long enough, you've done it too long, you've done this dimension wrong, blah, 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 blah. I don't think there are rights and wrongs with this. And what I would encourage you to do is, maybe, if you've not tried one of these before, maybe copy what I'm doing now, and then just experiment. I think that one of the best things about this is chopping and changing, finding things that work well for yourself, okay? You can try different length droppers, you can try different length overall rig, blah, 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 blah. By all means, chop and change. I'll talk through the dimensions first, and then we'll crack on and actually tie the thing. So I'm going to go for a 12-foot overall Urfe, okay? Now this is neither particularly long nor particularly short for an Urfe. This is probably reasonably sort of standard, I find. Something I use a lot of. I'm going to have hook one end. 2 foot back from that, I'm going to have the first dropper. 2 foot back from that, I'm going to have another dropper. And then we're going to have 8 foot of line off to your Urfe. So we've got 2, 2 and 8, which hopefully comes to 12 if I went to school that day. Right, let's get cracking with tying this then, shall we? Okay. One thing I didn't mention you may need is a tape measure of some description. I actually have markers on my counter here, which you probably can't see from that angle because they're on this side, with 1 foot, 2 foot, 3 foot, 4 foot. So when I'm making rigs, I can always measure out. Ideally, you'll have a bench or something with some kind of measure. Right, first things first, I'm going to tie one hook onto the end of my piece of line. So, you can use whatever knot you fancy. I tend to go with a simple 4-turn half-blood knot. Trim that down. When tying rigs, nail clippers or line snippers or whatever you want to call them are much better than scissors. You get a much closer, neater trim than you will with scissors. Okay, right, so now we have tied hook onto the end. I'm going to measure off 12 foot of line, okay? So 3 foot, 6, 9, oop, throw that spool on the floor, 12. I'll rescue our bit of line because I'm going to need that in a minute. Right, so far all we have is a hook tied to 12 foot of line. That couldn't get any easier. Now I'm going to measure 2 foot back from my hook, okay? So that is my 2 foot mark. Now I'm going to do something rather controversial, and this is going to be one of those things that gets people talking again. I'm going to tie a double overhand knot. So 1, 2, a double granny. Like so. And just pull that down. So now we've got a hook, 2 foot back from that, a knot. Get our two-way beads. Find the end of our line and thread on first two-way bead. See how good my eyes are this morning? Not particularly good by the looks of it. So once you've threaded it on, I clip it off the frame. Okay. Then run that bead all the way up to that knot. Like so. So that is now stopping against that knot. And now just the other side of that bead, another double overhand knot. Like so. And when you're putting this one tight, try and keep it as tight to that bead as you can. Like so. So now we've got a bead trapped in place with two two-way knots. No, not two two-way knots. A two-way bead trapped in place by 2 knots. Okay? Now, from that last knot we've just tied, I'm going to measure another 2 foot. And I'm going to repeat that exact same process, okay? So, 2 foot back, I'm going to do double overhand knot, pull down, find end of line, attempt to thread bead on first time in front of camera but fail, thread bead on, pull the line through so the bead is up against that knot we've just tied, and then another double overhand knot and pull down again. There we go. So that is now trapped in place by those 2 knots. So just to recap, we have hook, 2 foot back from that, two-way bead, 2 foot back from that, another two-way bead, and in theory we should then have 8 foot of line behind that. Now at this stage, if you like, we can tie on the Urfe clip. So the Urfe clip comes looking a little something like this. You've got a large swivel at the top, which we're going to attach our shock leader line to when we're fishing. A clip down the bottom, which our lead goes onto. If I just grab a lead, demonstrate that back sleeve just pulls back. Lead clips on there, and then black sleeve goes back over the top. This is probably the trickiest part. I don't know why I always struggle with that. There we go. So that's as we will fish our Urfe. I'll take that lid off because we don't need it now. And then we've got this free running swivel in the middle there. That's for our snood line, which is on the floor. Good demonstration. So simply tie on. You may want to just wrap up once you sort of tied your Urfe rigs, wrap them around a winder or something without the Urfe clip, and then attach your Urfe clip when you're on the beach. But that again is personal choice. There we go. So now we're at this stage, we're just going to add the droppers. So we're done with the two-way beads, and we're done with the Urfe, so they can go over there. Going to need 2 more hooks because I'm doing a 3-hook Urfe rig, which perhaps I should have said at the start. So, get your hook, tie line 2, and measure off 2 foot and trim. So we have hook, 2 foot of line. Ever so simple, and repeat. Hook, 2 foot of line. This time I'm just going to measure off to that because I know that's 2 foot. There we go. Those are going to be our 2 droppers. We are now done with the line. Right. So what we have here are our 2 droppers. So simply hook, 2 foot of line. We're now going to thread the end of one of these droppers through the other hole in our 2-way beads. So find the other hole. So 2-way beads are sometimes called cross beads as well. As you can see, the line, the holes, there's 2 holes, so the line can go 2 ways, or forms a cross. So what we're going to do is thread that through your 2-way bead. Somewhere near the end of our dropper, so to tie a 4-turn overhand knot. So make a loop, 1, 2, 3, 4. Like so, and just pull that down, it'll moisten, give that a good tighten, and then trim that tag off reasonably close. Hopefully you can see that. And that is our first dropper done, believe it or not. So that 4-turn knot we've just done is going to stop the line pulling through the bead. And then I'm going to repeat the process with the other bead and the other dropper. So thread it through the bead. 1, 2, 3, 4-turn overhand knot. Pull that down. Give it a good tighten and a trim, and that is our second dropper done. That is it. So we have hook, a couple of feet back from that. We have our first 2-way bead held in place with those overhand knots, and our first dropper attached to my t-shirt. And then back from that, now attached to my carpet. Told you it's a good rig, catches everything. We have our second 2-way bead, and then 8 foot back from that we have our Urfe. Simple as that. That is an Urfe rig. And there we go, that is as simple as that. No more components needed. So we've just got the Urfe, we've got the 2-way beads, we've got some line, we've got some hooks, that is it. Ever so simple. No stop knots, no gluing, no crimps, no complicated anything really. If you follow those instructions for a simple basic Urfe, that'll get you started. And then you can start chopping and changing and experimenting if you wish with different dimensions, different hook sizes, different line sizes, that sort of thing. Like I said, I'm sure there'll be a whole host of comments disagreeing with my dimensions, that sort of thing, but it's a very open-ended thing. I hope that helped. I hope you enjoy using Urfes and realise how simple they are and how effective they are at catching fish. Thank you very much.